Hello reader, this is Brittany Wang, the author of the audiobook you are about to listen to, which will be read for you by the very talented Talon David. Before the audiobook begins, please note that this story, Cavern of Terrors, is part 5 or episode 5 of a 6-book YA fantasy miniseries. If you missed parts 1 through 4, you can access all 6 audiobook videos through the playlist linked in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this story so much.
Cavern of Terrors, The Kobold Race. On Wings of Ash and Dust, Episode 5. Written by Brittany Wang. Narrated by Talon David. Chapter 1. I dreamily drop garments into my trunk as morning light filters through the window. Visions of my night with Aaron won't leave me alone. I walk a few paces, get lost in thought, and completely forget what I was about to do. After I drift off for the 5th time, I curse. This is why I told myself not to let Aaron become a distraction. At every turn, I see the lake, the boat, Aaron kissing me. Blast! Why were his lips so soft, so comforting? He tasted like the sea, like a home I've never truly known but have always yearned for. It thrilled and frightened me all at once. It wasn't even a long kiss. Aaron was a perfect gentleman, though part of me wished there'd been more. Aaron rowed us to shore, flew me back to my window, and asked if I needed anything before he departed. That was it. I woke up wondering if it had been another dream. But I'm not one to have pleasant dreams. At least for a few moments, Aaron had chased the nightmares away. It can't happen again. I shouldn't have let it happen even once. The Queen's warnings and her subtle threats echo in my mind. If I don't distance myself from him, then he could be in danger again. Besides, we still have 2 more trials ahead of us, an unknown assailant and a prophecy to unravel. Aaron did what he set out to do. He felt sorry for me and took away the pain, even if it was for a short time. It didn't mean anything more. Not really. He's still a betrothed nymph prince, and I'm still, well, me. It was a nice dream while it lasted. A knock at my door yanks me back to the present. As I go to answer it, I halfway expect it to be Aaron coming to tell me that he regrets the kiss, that I should just forget it happened. Or perhaps it's Hickory coming to berate me for spilling all of our secrets last night. Or worse, the Queen, or whoever poisoned me, coming to finish what they started. Anyone but who it actually is. Layman? As I stare up at Alice's brother, I hold on to the edge of the door, keeping it only partially open. If he's here to yell at me again, I'm prepared to slam the door right in his face. Uncertain eyes peer down at me from his wolf face paint, replacing his usual glare.
Good morning. Yes,
He straightens, muscles tensing. His hands fidget at his sides as if he doesn't know what to do with them.
You look, well.
Is he trying to make small talk? Thank you, I drawl. What does he want?
Ouch!
Layman jerks his leg as Ivy peeks out from behind him with an impish smile.
Hi, Quinn!
She beams at me, then reprimands her brother.
No dawdling. We don't have much time. Now, go on.
Fine. What I've come to say is...
Layman starts begrudgingly.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
And?
Ivy motions him along.
And?
A muscle twitches in his jaw as he puts down his foot tenderly.
I just wanted to say thank you for helping Alice during the trial of life.
His gaze strays to the wall.
I'd heard Alice barely made it out alive, but I didn't know you had helped her until after you collapsed at the feast. I don't know why you did it, and frankly, I don't care. Just thank you.
His eyes are glassy. Is this tall, burly puck about to cry? You're welcome. I'm still holding on to the door, not sure what I should do next.
And?
Ivy prods Layman once again. Layman rolls his eyes.
May we come in?
If it was just Layman, I would have said no. All Ivy has to do is blink her big brown eyes at me, and I give in.
Oh, I can't stand it anymore,
Ivy says excitedly as I shut the door after them.
Layman's coming to teach you some more signing before you leave us, as a thank you.
More signing?
Layman eyes her and then me.
I only taught her a few phrases.
Ivy lies as she tugs at both our arms to sit down.
My father says that you leave for the Kobold tunnels at sunset. Not very long to learn. Still, I'm sure anything would help. I'm not a very good teacher, but my brother's the best. Aren't you, Layman?
He still looks unsure, and I'm tempted to tell him that he can just forget it. That Alice can already speak to me just by touch. That would probably make him even more upset. Besides, knowing how to sign to Alice when she isn't near me could prove useful. If you're willing, I'd like to learn, I say as politely as I can. I'm a fast learner. A smile tugs at his mouth.
Let's see how fast.
With the sun low in the sky, all the competitors are called down to meet outside the Dryad village, where a line of fishing vessels float in a nearby river. The ships will take us to the nearest tunnel, one of the many entrances to the underground city of the Kobolds. As our attendants climb into the other boats, the 5 of us are piled into a smaller one, just big enough to carry all of us. And the Queen, of course.
Ah, Quinn,
Queen Gwendolyn says as I step onto the boat deck. I nearly jump back out.
So good to see you up and about. We thought we'd lost you.
You would have liked that, wouldn't you? She sounds sincere enough, but I can't trust anything she says. Not until Vale confirms her innocence. Thank you, Your Majesty. I bow my head and brush past her. As the Dryads bid us farewell from the land, the other 4 heirs are lined up along the boat's railing. On my way to join them, I bump shoulders with a nearly forgotten, still very unwelcome, foe.
We meet again, and on a ship no less.
Moonface sneers. Where have you been? I ask. The last time I saw him was in Isinglass. Has he been in Eldor looking for the mystic tome all this time?
Wouldn't you like to know?
His crescent-shaped scar creases as he narrows his eyes, his hatred for me as apparent as ever. He looks tired, too. Although it's a perfectly cool day, sweat beads on his forehead.
Make sure not to get too close to the edge there, pirate.
He lets out a dark laugh as I pass him. Reaching the others, I try to block out the vision of him throwing me overboard and grip the railing between Vale and Aaron. Any progress with the you-know-what? I ask Vale, plastering on a smile for the Dryads below. There are so many poisons it could be. I barely slept last night trying to figure it out. A lock of red hair falls over Vale's weary eyes. So far, it doesn't match anything of my mother's, so cool it. I sigh, telling myself to be patient.
Speaking of last night,
Aaron whispers from the other side of me, running a hand over the gills on his neck. Vale's ears twitch toward us. Really? He hasn't sought me out all day, and yet he wants to bring this up now? Aaron leans in to whisper again.
I'm sorry if I overstepped. It was...
What are you two talking about? Hickory says from the other side of Vale, his good eye squinting at us. Did I miss something? He probably thinks we're referring to the prophecy. Yes, what are you two talking about? Vale chimes in, pressing up against my arm. Nothing, I blurt out. It was nothing. Whatever it was at the time, the kiss can't mean anything going forward. It was a nice dream, but like all dreams, I have to wake up to reality.
Right. It was nothing.
Aaron confirms softly. In an effort not to take it back, I look over at Alice, who's barely noticed our exchange. She's too busy staring back at her clan, her family. A wind picks up, tossing her black braids, and tears fill her eyes. Every fairy in her clan puts their hands over their hearts and then raises them up to the sky. Alice returns the Dryad gesture, and our boat starts down the river.
Many blessings on your journey, young warriors,
Lord Torlon calls. Ivy waves frantically at Torlon's side while Layman stares directly at me, signing as subtly as he can.
Take care of my sister, pirate.
He cracks a smile. I will, I sign back. Alice catches our exchange. She looks from layman to me in confusion, before breaking into a smile as well.
Wait, where did you learn how to sign?
Vale's eyes are wide as Aaron and Hickory give me curious looks. Jealous that I finally know something you don't? I smirk at her.
Ha! Jealous of you!
Vale laughs, crossing her arms.
In your dreams.
As our boat rounds the bend, the dryads disappear behind the trees, and I realize how much has changed in just one short week. When we first entered the woodlands, most of us were still fairly fierce competitors. Now we leave as, well, maybe not friends exactly, but definitely with a certain level of understanding and respect for each other. Something I don't think anyone expected, especially not us. We keep all this to ourselves, of course. During our voyage, we continue the usual bickering, throwing around a few insults for good measure. In fact, it soon becomes a game to see who can come up with the best jabs. Alice actually comes up with some of the best ones, but with her signing, only I can understand them. At one point, I catch Hickory at the stern of the ship, staring out at the passing woodlands as daylight quickly dissipates. No sketchbook? I join him at the railing, far enough away that the Queen or anyone else would think nothing of it.
Not this time,
Hickory sighs.
After thinking I'd lost my sight for good during the last trial, I figured I'd spend more time actually looking at the real thing than trying to capture it on a page. Especially since, well, you know.
I nod. He means before we enter the dark abyss of the tunnels.
So,
he says, lowering his voice more,
are we ever going to talk about this fire of yours?
I let out a soft groan, pretending to look at the passing trees. Do we have to? His lips quirk up.
I thought something funny was going on when you pulled fire out of nowhere during the Trial of Beauty. I can't believe that you've kept it a secret this whole time. I know your clan is not exactly magic-friendly, especially toward mystic magic.
I'm not a mystic, I say adamantly, looking around to make sure no one is listening.
Of course you're not.
Hickory plays along.
But if you were,
I roll my eyes.
That would be sort of amazing. I'd be lying if I didn't admit I was jealous,
he says.
And you know, finding out more about your possible heritage and mystic-like gift could help us figure out their prophecy.
He looks at me out of the corner of his good eye. It's just, I can't control it. The fire, I mean. I lean on the railing, flexing my fingers. The fact that it aided us against the goblins was a fluke. It doesn't always obey. In fact, it usually causes more harm than good. I grow quiet, thinking about Gaius.
Well, I'm no mystic,
Hickory says.
But once we get into the tunnels, I may have something that could help you learn more.
I look up with hopeful eyes. Maybe Alice was right. Could I really learn to master this ability, instead of it mastering me?
We're nearly there,
the Queen announces from the bow of the ship, where Alice, Aaron, and Vale stand with her. As Hickory and I join them, I see that the river is guiding us to one of the many caves throughout Phelan. One that will lead into the tunnels of Tartarus. Kobold guards gripping pickaxes watch us carefully, eyeing the Queen before letting our boats pass. As we slip into the shadows of the cave, water rushes around us. I look at Hickory, whose good eye has started to glow.
I'd hold on to something.
He nods to me, taking hold of the railing himself. The rest of us follow his lead just in time for the river to bend and shoot our line of boats down a winding canal. Descending further into the dark underground world, I hold my breath until our boat finally evens out and slows at the bottom.
That was exciting,
Aaron says with a relieved laugh. Sure, exciting. I shake my head. Usually I live for adventure, but I was not prepared for that. As we float along, the tunnel feels more like a damp dungeon, or the belly of a beast who swallowed us whole. Lanterns dispersed along the walls are the only light to our path. Soft plinks of dripping water and the twitter of bats leaves an unsettled feeling in my stomach as the arched ceilings narrow, inching closer to us the farther we go. I loosen the collar of my tunic, suddenly aware of how loud my breathing is. I've always been curious about the tunnels, but I was right to never volunteer for Maverick's raids down here. Give me a sea storm over this any day. I close my eyes, calling forth images of my wide-open ocean. It's not helping. My eyes search for Hickory in the lantern light. He's behind us, holding fast to the ship's mast as a cold, stale wind sends ghostly whirls through the cavern. The glow of his good eye flickers in and out, and his grip tightens until his knuckles turn white. No wonder he dreams of escaping this place for good.
Do you hear that?
Vale asks, stepping curiously toward the railing. My ears twitch as the rest of us shuffle forward to join her. The sharp ping of metal and the echo of distant voices grow louder and more distinct.
It's singing,
Aaron says, surprise and excitement dancing in his torch-lit eyes.
It's the pixie dust miners.
Hickory nods ahead. Soon, lanterns cast their golden glow over a stretch of kobolds who drive pickaxes into the walls on either side of the cave. They chisel away at crumbling debris, and sparkling pixie crystals of varying colors emerge from roots in the dirt as they sing in deep, sorrowful tones. Listening to the melody, I vaguely remember little Luna humming it from time to time while mending the minnow's nets. I half smile at the memory. This tune is sadder than I remember. The music in Isinglass was beautiful, but this simple song is just as enchanting, a lament of the miner's plight. Even Aaron's eyes glisten with emotion. As the sound envelops us, the song turns into a round, and my heart tightens. A pressure builds behind my eyes and stings at the corners. Like Aaron spoke of on the lake, I want so badly to experience the release of tears. But none come. Just accept it. You'll never cry again. We sail through many different parts of the tunnels, even one that brings us under the sea itself. Above us, a transparent material takes the place of the rock ceiling. Lit up by bioluminescent plankton, a cluster of sharks looms over us as crabs scuttle across the surface.
What's this?
Aaron shoots Hickory a hard stare.
Has your clan been trying to spy on my folk?
Don't flatter yourself,
Hickory chuckles.
We have countless tunnels that lead to all different parts of Phelan. Since the deep sea is the only part we can't physically enter, the kobolds built tunnels like this to escape the darkness for a time and study the sea creatures that pass by.
Ah.
Aaron nods curtly, though his gills remain tensed. As we go deeper, more of the distinct, sweet scent of pixie dust mixes with the pungent smell of smoke. It nearly overwhelms me as our boat enters a large cavernous opening, leading us right into the heart of Tartarus. Following the underground river through the busy center of the city, we sail around smoke-billowing structures and under-arched bridges.
Well,
the rest of Hickory's words are swallowed by the deafening cacophony of bustling voices and churning machinery.
What did you say?
I yell, resisting the urge to cover my ears.
I said, this is home,
Hickory yells back.
And the crazy lot who live here.
As nearby kobolds notice us, they lift their caps and cave helmets to reveal bright, glowing eyes. While many blink with curiosity, others straighten their vests and patchwork clothing, lifting their proud, soot-stained faces. Alice draws closer to my side. This is a stark contrast from the lush, tranquil forest we just left, and it seems she's struggling to adjust too. Everywhere we turn is earth and rock, gears and tubes, pulleys and smog. Smoke clouds rise from the city, up toward vents in the cavern ceiling. The only signs of plant life are the massive roots of the sacred vine that weave in from the tunnel ceiling, along the walls and throughout the city. As we leave the city's center, I've just begun to think we're clear of most of the noise when a churning rumble comes from the cavern walls. Rock debris explodes like ship cannons, and an odd machine with a sharp, twisting head plows through. Alice's eyes widen, and I rush to shield our heads with my wings as flecks of rubble sprinkle onto the ship's deck.
Thanks,
she signs gratefully. I nod. What was that thing?
That's a tunneler,
Hickory explains, then points to his head.
Another reason why kobolds are fond of their hats.
Around the newly formed opening, kobold homes are carved into the sides of the enormous cavern, kind of like the mountainside city I grew up in. Stories of them are stacked high, one on top of the other, with long, rock-formed bridges that span across the city. Through one of the lower passages, the Kobe Express whistle blows as it makes its final stop in the cave, full of kobolds who have jobs or other places to be on the surface. Wow, the tracks really do reach all the way down here, I say, stifling a shudder. I'm glad we took the boats instead. As we reach the other end of the city, lanterns illuminate a looming stone castle featuring a huge metal disc embedded in its central tower. Strange spinning arrows rotate over the mechanism of gears that fill the center. "Hickory, what is that?" Vale draws closer to him, pointing to it.
My father calls it a timepiece, or a clock, if you prefer,
he says. A slight blush rises in his cheeks at her nearness, as he seems to revel in teaching something to the girl who knows everything.
Since we don't have the benefit of measuring time by daylight, my father commissioned it so we could measure the hours.
I study the large arrows as they tick by, not sure if I like this contraption. Reminds me too much of how quickly time passes. Lately, I feel like I have less and less of it every day. Vale seems thoroughly fascinated. "How curious." She smiles, intrigue dancing in her eyes. "How does it work?" I can tell Hickory is loving the attention, not wanting it to end, but Vale's eyes are pulled upward. A flock of flying figures swoops down from one of the castle towers, casting their shadows over us before landing on the dock.
Welcome to Tartarus.
The kobold lord steps through his gathered court, swinging his gold cane with one hand and leading his wife with the other. I remember their ghostly pale faces from the previous trials.
Lord Zephin, Lady Irina.
The queen steps off the boat first and nods to them curtly. Lord Zephin removes his tall top hat and holds it to his tailored vest as he bows his head ever so slightly.
Your Majesty.
He then peers down at the rest of us. His disturbingly large eyes blink rapidly through jewel-studded goggles. I draw back until he raises the goggles to the top of his head. A slanted smile slides up his alabaster face.
We're so very pleased to see that you've all arrived safely,
he says with more flamboyance than I expect.
Aren't we, Irina?
Oh, yes.
Lady Irina claps her gloved hands and steps forward with surprising grace, considering her ridiculously tight corset.
There are many dangers in these tunnels.
She gazes over her high, ruffled collar as we step off the creaking boat, her eyes searching. Once she spots Hickory, she ushers him over to join them, seeming to examine him for injuries.
Nothing a little creativity can't solve. Am I right, my boy?
Lord Zephin nudges Hickory with his elbow. He then pulls back his cape to reveal a mechanical leg from the knee down. He taps it with his cane and does a little jig to show off its surprisingly limber function. Irina giggles into her glove admiringly. Hickory stifles a cringe, which Zephin doesn't miss.
Our son prefers playing with watercolors on the surface over fiddling with the gears and grease of our lowly world,
the kobold lord says, looking down on his son as the fae in his court give Hickory disapproving glares. Hickory purses his lips, holding tightly to the strap of his satchel across his chest. Seeing Hickory like this makes me want to kick the cane right out from under the kobold lord. Before I can, he lifts it toward the surrounding city.
As you can see, our etho drives us to the very edges of innovation.
Zephin takes a step toward us, his glowing eyes ablaze with a kind of mischief that makes me want to climb back into the boat.
We can hardly wait to see your own creativity put to the test in what we're sure will be the most challenging trial you've yet to survive.
Based on the dangers of the last 3 trials, I swallow hard. What could possibly be worse than what we've endured already?
Until then, we'll show you to your chambers,
Lady Irina says, whipping around her layered skirts as she starts back to the castle.
I wouldn't get too comfortable, though. We have a fabulous feast along with some very special entertainment planned in your honor.
As we follow them into the dark castle, I already know there's no way I'm going to feel settled here. Chapter 2. After we find our rooms, Hickory ushers the rest of us down the hall to his personal quarters.
Come on, there's something I've got to show you,
he whispers as he looks both ways down the empty hall before putting a metal key into the bolt on his door and turning it. Gears whine and creak as they shift and pop, unlocking the mechanism. As he pushes the door open, a rod on the wall reaches toward a lantern and flicks a match. It ignites a flame inside, bringing the room to life. At the sight, I stifle a gasp. Hickory's room is packed from floor to ceiling. Paints and easels, books and maps, a collection of pixie dust pipes, and mountains of other gears and trinkets, many of which I can't identify. There are so many colors that the entire room looks like an abstract piece of art. Still clustered near the door, the rest of us look at each other, not sure where to step first, as Hickory closes the door behind us.
Don't be shy. Come in before anyone sees. We don't have much time,
Hickory says as he follows the only uncluttered path, weaving through the piles of junk, and lights a candle near his disheveled bed.
Hickory, what is all this?
Vale asks, picking up the hem of her dress as she steps carefully.
Oh!
He gazes at all his treasures with joy.
In the midst of drab tunnel life, this is my sanctuary.
He looks at Alice.
My Vindoria in the midst of an otherwise dreary woodlands, if you like.
Alice's face brightens approvingly. Spotting a pixie dust pipe on a pile of books, he swipes it up, lighting it with a nearby candle. He puts it in the crook of his mouth and gazes around again.
These are all the things I've collected throughout my travels of Phelan. I have to admit, I don't know what some of them are, but it's all quite fascinating, don't you think?
If you don't know what they are, then why do you have them?
Aaron asks, picking up a collection of metal pieces held together by delicate springs. As he examines one of the circular appendages with a smiling face etched into the surface, it nearly breaks off.
Careful!
Hickory flies over a crate of paints to take the metal doll from Aaron before he can do any more harm. He cradles it in his hand as if it's the most precious thing in the world, observing its condition with his good eye.
If you knew there would come a day where you won't be able to see anything at all, then you'd probably do the same.
A pang of sadness for him distracts me, and I forget to look where I'm going. I trip over something, catching myself against the only wall that's not hidden by the stacks. It's covered in flyers, drawings, ancient maps, and scribbles so hurried I can barely read them. Hickory? I stare at the collage of clippings.
Ah, that's what I wanted to show you.
He makes his way over.
These are my theories.
All of them? Vale asks, intrigued.
Yes. I've been studying the mystics for years now. There's all kinds of theories about them, their prophecies concerning the Pneuma and such. At first, it was just a hobby, something I found fascinating. But the more I've discovered about them, the more inconsistencies and surprises I've found. The more I've pieced together, the more I've become
obsessed?
Aaron lifts a brow.
Dedicated,
Hickory corrects, staying focused on the wall.
To finding the truth. I have a feeling that they were more misunderstood than we realize.
A shadow falls over his features as he runs a finger over a drawing. A dragon-winged mystic holds a book in one hand and a ball of flame in the other. The image makes me shudder, knowing the pain of that fire in more ways than one. But for the first time, I see something else in Hickory's obsession. A possible connection that runs deeper than theoretical curiosity. I wonder, in some way, if he sees a part of himself in the mystic story. A fairy stuck in a world where no one understands him, not even his own already highly eccentric clan. Blinking, his head snaps up as he shifts farther down the wall.
Now that we have the prophecy more properly translated, so many of my findings are starting to make sense.
As he searches, he blows out pixie dust smoke from his pipe like a train.
Like this here.
He points to a drawing that's frayed at the edges, as if ripped from a book.
This mystic sketch depicts two worlds, Phelan here and the Neverworld here.
He points to two clouded spheres with a decorative beam connecting them. Alice taps me and signs. What's that in between? A bridge? I shrug, relaying her guess to Hickory.
Precisely, he says, beaming. I think it's supposed to be some sort of passageway connecting the two worlds. After the Pneuma were banished to the Neverworld long ago, this bridge was somehow lost in the process. Then, I painted another vision last night.
Another one? I ask, surprised he didn't tell me before.
Yes. I must have created it in my sleep because I woke up with my hands covered in paint and this was lying on the floor.
He hurries to one of his traveling trunks and pulls out a piece of parchment rolled up like a scroll. Flattening it on his wall of clippings, he secures it with a few pins.
At first, I thought I'd just painted the same drawing from memory, the two worlds present again here. But instead of a bridge in the middle,
It's a door?
Aaron asks, tilting his head as he examines it.
Yes.
Hickory nods.
This door is closed, though there's an opening for a key.
He lifts his eyebrows at us before pulling his sketchbook from his satchel.
Now, stay with me. According to Vale's translation of the prophecy, I think the last stanza is giving us the formula for creating this very key.
He flips to a specific page in his notes and begins to read.
Stone and dust they must combine with every royal clan bloodline, together when the moons align. The key to power is the sign.
Okay, Vale says.
So you're saying these elements might make up an actual key to some kind of door to the Neverworld?
Theoretically, yes.
Hickory confirms, puffing more clouds of pixie dust in quick succession. Wouldn't we want to keep that from happening? I ask.
Theoretically, yes.
Hickory says again, though less emphatically.
But even that isn't clear. Not yet, anyway. Vale and I still have more to translate.
Before that, can we get to the feast that was mentioned earlier?
Aaron asks.
All this theory talk is making me hungry.
Yes. We better get going.
Hickory motions to the door.
If we're all late, someone might get suspicious.
After making sure the hallway is clear, we exit his room one at a time. As I bring up the rear, Hickory stops me.
I know I've been carrying the book around with me for safekeeping. I've been thinking maybe I shouldn't,
Hickory whispers.
There are a slew of pickpockets in the city. Plus, I don't know if you've noticed, but most kobolds are a curious bunch with very little regard for personal space.
He says this while standing extremely close to me. I bite down my laughter as he continues.
I'm going to hide the mystic text somewhere in my quarters under lock and key. Even if someone went rummaging in my room, they'd have to search for hours before coming across it.
All right, just make sure you can find it in this mess, okay? I joke. He smiles.
Got it.
Chapter 3. After the feast, Lord Zephin leads us to a cavern even louder and busier than the city. As we step into the underground stadium, clouds of pixie dust smoke fill the air as cheering kobolds line the walls, looking down at a vast maze carved into the ground below. No way! I smile from ear to ear, feeling the first tinge of excitement since reaching the tunnels. I never thought I'd see it.
What is this place?
Alice signs to me as we find our seats. It's the labyrinth, I say, anxiously peering down into the circular maze of high stone walls. Hickory looks at me, brows raised.
You've been here before?
Not personally. I know many pirates sent on missions down here who would come in disguise to bet on the games, I say. It was one of Zale and Colt's favorite pastimes. They often took their portion of the spoils and Colt's valuable explosives to use in the kobold bets.
How does it work?
Aaron asks.
If you couldn't tell already, living down in the tunnels isn't exactly exciting. So we've had to create our own entertainment.
Hickory points to the maze.
The labyrinth isn't a typical maze with multiple ways you can turn and get lost. That's not its danger. Instead, with one way in and one way out for each of its victims, the labyrinth takes them through a preset path to the center of the maze, making them endure a series of challenges. Fairies must overcome each one with only their wits and resourcefulness to aid them. Kobold folk can be pretty twisted. They get quite the kick out of betting who will be the first to make it back alive.
Alive? Vale's eyes widen. It's deadly?
Oh, yes. It wasn't always so lethal, but the labyrinth has gone through some renovations over the past few years. More danger means more excitement, which also means more kobolds coming and even fae from other clans being allowed to attend and gamble, benefiting our struggling economy. Hickory nods to a group of kobolds shouting something at two pucks. As one furiously writes something down in a small book, the other collects pouches of fardlings and pixie dust from the shouting crowd. The first puck must be recording their bets.
Seems to be working well,
Aaron says as he settles into his seat. The rest of us follow, preparing to enjoy the show.
It was,
says Hickory with a sigh, his voice lowering.
Until the dangers of the labyrinth grew so great that fewer and fewer kobolds wanted to compete. My father couldn't have that. So these last few months he's been convincing criminals from the dust mines to take part instead. The first to make it out alive wins their freedom.
My excitement evaporates as gates below rise to reveal a handful of condemned fae approaching the maze. Some walk slowly in anxious, jittery movements. Others stumble toward their fate with vacant, dazed eyes, probably due to the extreme dust exposure in the mines. A few weeks ago, this probably wouldn't have fazed me. Watching the misfortune of others while winning money is most pirates' favorite form of entertainment. But my crew and I were nearly sent to the dust mines ourselves. I shiver as I picture us as the barely sane criminals below trying to win our freedom. Then I see her. I blink my eyes, shaking my head. My mind has to be playing tricks on me. As she shifts her tiny face to the crowd, I know it's her. Luna. I'm going to be sick. How did she get captured? Whit was supposed to take the crew back to Maverick. They were supposed to be safe. At least Luna grew up in the tunnels, so she doesn't seem as affected by the dust mines as the others. Still, how is little Luna going to survive this? She scans the cheering crowd around her. Her eyes pass over me and the other heirs, then jerk back. Her eyes grow wide, focusing on me. I fully expect her features to morph into a look of pure anger, maybe even hate. But her pleading eyes only seem to say one thing. Help me. My stomach lurches as my fingers curl around the railing in front of me. What can I do? I helplessly watch as kobold henchmen strong-arm Luna closer to the maze. Staring down at her from my position as an heir, I wonder which of us has it worse, the labyrinth or the Ethodyne. At least she only has one challenge to win her freedom. Suddenly, another terrifying thought enters my mind. Why are we being shown this? Hoping against hope that the fear crawling inside me won't come true, I catch Alice staring at me. "Are you okay?" she signs. "You're turning white." "I have a bad feeling," I sign back.
Welcome to the labyrinth!
Lord Zephin announces through a horn lowered by a mechanical arm in the wall. His voice echoes off the walls, seeming to come from all directions at once.
As usual, tonight we have 5 criminals who will compete for their freedom.
I press into the back of my seat, holding my breath.
And at the end of the week, the 5 clan heirs will enter the same maze to compete in the test of creativity.
The kobold crowd explodes with cheers. There it is. Just as I feared. When my father originally gave me the choice of competing in the Ethodyne or working in the dust mines, it didn't matter which path I chose. I might still die by the same fate. Chapter 4. This is the first time we're being shown exactly what lies in store for one of our trials. And it's torture to just watch. At the blow of the horn, each criminal steps into the labyrinth through a different entrance with nothing but their bare hands and their wits to defend themselves. Not only do they have to navigate an obstacle course of perilous traps, challenging them to adapt and use their surroundings to survive, but failing to overcome their trial often incurs bloody consequences. One of the criminals tries to escape, flying up over the maze walls. He's immediately shot down, right through the chest, by an arrow catapulting machine from above. All the while, the kobolds in the stands drink, cheer, and make money off of the bloodshed. I keep my eye on Luna, who's thankfully the least injured and in the lead. She survived fire torches, a moat of hungry crocodiles, and is now the closest to reaching the stone tower standing at the center of the maze. The first to reach the top will be proclaimed the winner. All that stands between her and her freedom now are a series of narrow doorways with jagged guillotine blades. They lift at various intervals and drop with a slice that makes me wince. Though her small frame has wasted away during her time in the mines, Luna is still limber and quick. She studies the movement of the blades, finding their pattern, using maneuvers she learned under my training on the minnow to dive through each opening at just the right moment. She has one more blade to evade. It lifts and she leaps, but the hem of her trouser catches on something. A nail? A screw? I shoot to my feet even though I know there's nothing I can do. She only has a matter of seconds. She yanks at her foot, scrambling forward on her elbows. Her ankle is still stretched over the opening. I force myself not to look away as the blade plunges down. Her screams are too far off to hear, swallowed by the sound of the crowd. Looking at her now bloodied stump, she shakes violently with shock. But she doesn't let this stop her. Gritting through the pain, she strips off a sleeve and wraps the wound tight. Then she releases her wings, flying with all her remaining strength onward. As she crashes through the door at the base of the tower, I hold my breath, heart pounding. Please let her survive. An agonizing minute passes. Then another. 2 more criminals enter the tower from separate doors. Finally, Luna emerges at the top, her voice now ringing out above the spectators who cheer or boo as money exchanges hands. "I'm free!" she cries through bloodied teeth. As medics rush to her aid, I collapse back into my seat, exhausted from worrying. There's no way I could have saved her from the labyrinth, but at least she'll be freed from this place. I can't speak as hopefully about the 5 of us. At the end of the unsettling festivities, we're allowed to exit the cavern first, leaving behind rowdy kobolds who are still cheering and arguing over money owed. As we walk down the tunnel leading back to the city, none of us speak. I've never been one to be squeamish, but as I picture us entering the labyrinth in a few short days, my stomach threatens to unload everything I ate at the feast. Bringing up the rear, I stop, bracing my hand against the damp cavern wall as the others continue on. All except one.
Quinn.
Aaron stands in front of me, and I meet his eyes. They're soft with concern.
It's going to be okay. We've survived this far.
At least we could prepare for the other trials in some way. I motion back to the labyrinth. How in Phelan are we supposed to prepare for that? Then again, maybe knowing we can't is part of the torture. Aaron's attention shifts as raucous voices bounce off the walls behind me. A swarm of kobolds are exiting the stadium, pouring into the tunnel after us in droves.
We should keep moving,
he says. I just need a minute. I spot a side tunnel ahead. Aaron follows me just in time for the crowds of kobolds to pass us by. I press my back against the wall, trying to breathe, feeling the space close in.
Are you sure that's all that's bothering you?
Aaron asks, watching me.
I saw your reaction to the criminal who won. Do you know her or something?
I study his face, eternally surprised at how well he can read me. Luna. I breathe her name softly, her bloodied leg and soundless scream etched in my mind. She was one of my crew. He purses his lips.
I'm so sorry.
I nod in thanks, then quirk a brow. Is that compassion for a pirate I hear in your voice? He shrugs, nodding to me.
You've already softened me toward one. I guess it was only a matter of time.
I smile to myself as he turns his attention back to the passing crowd, many of them laughing and clapping each other on the back as if the whole event hasn't fazed them in the least.
Who knew kobolds were so bloodthirsty?
Aaron says. Yeah, I try to ease my breathing. I knew they were eccentric, but not this off the rails.
Guess Hickory's pretty tame in comparison, huh?
He smirks.
Maybe I shouldn't give him such a hard time.
Why do you give him such a hard time? I ask, the heaviness in my chest progressively lifting. What did he ever do to you? Aaron hesitates.
Let's just say Hickory and I have never seen eye to eye on certain things. You're right, though. Maybe I should ease up on the puck. Feeling any better?
Somewhat. I nod.
Good. We'd better get going.
A high-pitched scream cuts through the side tunnel we're in, shooting toward us from the other end. What was that? I squint in the darkness, stepping toward a flickering light in the distance.
Quinn, please,
Aaron pleads.
Where are you going now?
I thought I heard someone scream.
Oh yeah, that's a great reason to go walking down a dark cavern,
Aaron says. A train whistle sounds and we stop.
See, just a train. There wasn't
Another scream. Definitely not a train. You were saying? I ask smugly before creeping deeper into the shadows.
You were only going to find trouble down there,
Aaron calls after me. Well, you better follow me and do what you do best then, I shout back. Predictably, his footsteps follow.
This pixie is going to be the end of me,
he mutters. As we draw toward the light, I slink along the inner wall. There, I find one thing I expected, the Kobe Express, and one thing I didn't. A sylph soldier is ordering around a group of kobolds as they haul large sacks onto the train. The feather-winged soldier turns, a crescent moon scar running down his cheek. Moonface. What's he doing here? I whisper aloud, mostly to myself. As Moonface paces, shouting commands, he wipes his sweaty brow. He doesn't look well. His skin is darker in the dim light, but also discolored. Sickly.
Jasper, the last shipment is ready for the Queen.
A kobold with a conductor's hat and a tattered, moth-eaten uniform reports. He holds out his hand.
Time to pay up.
Before Moonface can respond, a sack topples out of the train and thuds on the ground, breaking open to reveal pounds of glittering pixie dust.
It's just a dust trade,
Aaron whispers to me, quietly shifting to leave. I don't budge. The screaming definitely came from this direction. I know it. And if Moonface is here, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the instigator. Besides, while dust trades might be normal enough, this is a whole train full. It's happening far from the city, in secret. Something's up.
This shipment is not for the Queen, you imbecile.
Moonface wipes his forehead with the back of his hand again and points.
And I'm not paying you anything until you clean up that mess.
The kobold conductor sags. Just as he turns, another bag tumbles down the steps as a fairy shoots out of the train into the air. A pixie with kobold wings and a bloodied bandage where her right foot should be. Luna, I say, grasping the edge of the tunnel opening, not believing my eyes.
What?
Aaron draws closer, his chest pressing against my back.
How did she get loose?
Shouts Moonface.
Don't let her get away!
2 kobolds shoot into the air, seizing Luna, and tackle her to the ground. No, please! She yells as she tries to wriggle out of their grasp. I won! I'm free now! You have to let me go! As they move to gag her, she screams. The same scream I heard earlier. My fingers prick with heat as I take a step forward. Aaron grabs my arm.
Quinn, stop. I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do.
The kobold in charge turns to Moonface again.
I guess she wasn't tied tightly enough. These things happen.
Moonface grabs him by the collar with one hand, lifting him like he's a little sprout.
No excuses, you hear me?
He shakes him as he growls, his voice deeper and grittier than I remember. My eyes grow wide. This isn't the bumbling sylph soldier I knew. What's happened to him?
Yes, Jasper. Anything you say, Jasper.
The conductor trembles, dangling in Moonface's grasp until he throws him to the ground.
That's more like it. Now show me the other cars. I want to make sure you're not trying to swindle me out of anything else.
Moonface says.
Yes, of course.
The kobold quickly scrambles to his feet and leads Moonface to the other side of the train. With Moonface out of sight and Luna being dragged back toward the train, I know this is my last chance to help her. I've got to do something. Shrugging Aaron off, I unfurl my wings and collide into the back of the kobold, restraining Luna's right arm. We crash to the ground, the kobold hitting his head hard on the stone floor, knocking him out.
What was that?
I hear Moonface grumble from a few cars down. I only have moments.
Captain?
Luna's voice rattles. The other kobold holds her in front of him like a shield, sliding a jagged knife from his belt. Luna's face pales. It's okay. Just stay calm. I put my hands up where her captor can see them, frantically thinking of my next move, when Aaron appears from the shadows behind them.
Hey, pick on someone your own size.
The kobold startles, half turning just as Aaron grabs for the knife with one hand and punches the puck with the other. I pull Luna away before she goes down with him.
What are you doing here?
She asks, peering at me as if she's seen a ghost.
My thoughts exactly.
Moonface growls, a handful of other kobolds in tow as they round the train toward us, blades ready. Aaron takes a fighting stance with the kobold knife as I squeeze Luna's shoulders and look her dead in the face. I might not have a weapon, but I won't let them take her again. There isn't time to explain. Save yourself, I tell her, hoping she'll fly away while she still can. Luna's brows knit with confusion, then narrow with the determination I've seen in her eyes before. She unfurls her wings and rises into the air as if she plans to help us attack. Get out of here, I command in the captain tone I know she remembers. That's an order. Taking one last look at me and the oncoming rabble, she shoots into the air. She doesn't go for an escape right away like I hoped. She whips back to the train, crashing through one of the windows, glass shattering everywhere. What in Phelan is she doing? In the next second, a flurry of wings break free from the express. There are more prisoners. Many more.
This way!
Luna calls as she leads them toward the tunnel where the locomotive must have come from. There's at least a dozen other ferries right behind her.
Go after them!
Moonface roars to the kobolds, then turns on me with his foulest glare yet.
I'll handle this one.
Aaron steps in front of me, but I grab his arm. We only have the kobold knife, and there's a clear shot now to escape the way we came. Fly! I yell. Whipping through the air, we reach the main tunnel where we came in from, weaving and pushing our way through the kobold crowd. I look back just as Moonface emerges. His mouth twists into a snarl. He and I both know there are too many witnesses for him to do something now. Thanks, I whisper to Aaron. That was close.
Too close,
Aaron says in a harsher tone than normal, running his hand through his midnight blue hair.
Seriously, Quinn, when are you going to start listening to me?
He goes on, but I barely hear him. I'm just glad Luna got away. If Luna can find her way back to the crew, then she'll have a new Captain Shade story to tell the mates. Maybe even Maverick will hear of it and allow me to rejoin them once I'm done with this insane competition. Even still, I hope my crew realizes how much I did care for them, that I wouldn't have abandoned them if I'd had a choice. Assuming Luna was the only one of them held captive in this place, of course. I glance back at Moonface one more time. He's gone. I whip around to make sure he isn't nearby, and thankfully, he's nowhere to be found. I relax a bit, ignoring the sinking feeling that I haven't seen the last of him. We created quite a mess for him back at the train. Hopefully clearing it up keeps him busy for a while. What in Phelan was he up to? What could a sylph soldier like him want with half-dead criminals and mounds of pixie dust? Chapter 5. How have you not found anything out yet? I ask Vale. Our blades clash, sparks exploding in the dim, cavernous room. It's been 3 days since leaving Vindoria, and Vale still can't tell me if the poison in my system was her mother's or not. After stumbling upon Moonface's secret deal, however, I've had my doubts that it was the Queen who did it. Still, I told Aaron not to mention the incident to Vale quite yet. I need her to be motivated to finish her tests on the poison. I need to know for sure. Sweat beads down Vale's face, nostrils flaring, her jaw set in determination.
Oh, I'm sorry,
she wheezes, breathing heavily, her freckled cheeks flushed with heat.
I barely have any energy after a certain trainer works me to death every day.
She takes a fatigued swing at me. I evade it easily. Well, if you learn to control your breathing, your opponent wouldn't be able to beat you because of sheer exhaustion. I bring my blade down on hers, hard, and her knees buckle. Pace your breathing, like when you sing. Again. I pull back, allowing her to stand before coming at her from multiple angles. Vale meets me each time with swift, calculated shifts. She's monitoring her breathing more with each blow, fighting smarter. Still, she's worn out. Good. I take a moment to admire how far I've brought her in just a few short weeks. Now, if only I can get her to stop complaining so much. Vale relaxes and lets her blade drop to the ground, hands on her knees as she breathes. One more thing, though, I add. Vale looks up, and I rush toward her with my sword. She scrambles for her blade, but not before my foot lands on it, the tip of my own weapon at her throat. She stares at me, stunned. Never let your guard down, especially with your opponent's weapon still in hand. I smirk. And never underestimate the element of surprise. Vale gulps, my blade still hovering at her throat. Got it. Stepping off her weapon, I kick it up, catching it in the air, 2 swords in my hands. Learn that, and I think you might be ready. I pull back, and Vale's eyes shine with hope.
Ready? You mean we're done training?
Ha! I chuckle. I mean you're ready for the next stage. Vale moans, struggling to stand up straight.
What else can there possibly be?
Releasing my wings, I rise into the air. I'd requested the Queen find us an abandoned cavern with the highest ceiling she could find. We'll need all the space we can for this lesson. Your enemies won't always be on the ground. Time to learn to fight and fly. I toss Vale's sword back to her. She catches it, surprising even herself at her coordination. Vale's worn expression shifts into a smile as she releases her feathered wings and meets me in the air.
Now this I can get behind.
Later that evening, Lord Zephin instructs the 5 of us to follow Hickory to where we can prepare for our upcoming trial.
How far is this place exactly?
Aaron asks as we walk through the smoky streets. On the way, we pass everything from boutiques with specialty caps and goggles to mechanics bartering with patrons over the price of metal limbs and wing enhancements. There's even a whole shop packed with miniature ticking clocks, one with an annoying wooden bird that pops out at the top and screeches, startling Alice.
It's right outside the city.
Hickory leads us around the next block.
We just have to make a quick stop on the way.
Eventually, he pauses in front of a building where it seems most of the smoke is coming from. Carts of pixie crystals are being peddled inside. Stepping up to the large windows, we peer through to see the crystals heaved onto the moving belt of a noisy machine. They disappear in one end and come out the other as powdery dust. Ah, so this is what a pixie dust factory looks like. I press my fingers against the glass. Kobolds working the machine scoop the different colors of dust into pouches and labeled bottles before pushing carts of them into a back room. Where are they taking the dust? I ask as Hickory leads us around the side of the building into an empty alleyway.
Certain amounts are usually brought to the surface to be sold and traded, though there's less and less of that happening with the crystal shortages,
answers Hickory. I look at Aaron, thinking of Luna and all the pixie dust we saw Moonface transporting. We still need to find out what he was up to.
Other shipments are brought to our inventors,
Hickory adds.
For what kind of inventions?
Alice signs for me to ask. Oh, all kinds, Vale pipes up in her didn't-you-know voice. There are many different crystal types. Kobold inventors are constantly experimenting with combinations, often mixing them with other elements to find new uses, from powering the floating vessels in Eldor to finding new medicinal cures. Alice looks at her healing hands, and I remember what she told me in Vendoria.
Perhaps the kobolds could experiment on me to figure out how to make a serum for the plague.
Though her parents don't want her to reveal her gift, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first thing she'd do if she became queen. Reaching a side door, Hickory looks both ways before giving the door a uniquely patterned knock. A small window in the door opens, and a mechanical hand shoots out so quickly that I jump back. Hickory places a pouch of farthings in the hand, which retracts, and then reappears with an unlabeled pouch of pixie dust. Aaron crosses his arms, raising a brow.
That wasn't sketchy at all.
I shoot him a look, reminding him he promised to be nicer to Hickory. Aaron shrugs in a half-hearted apology.
It's for the pain in my eye, okay?
Hickory points to his misted one, tossing the pouch into his satchel.
A puck's gotta do what a puck's gotta do.
As we reach the far outskirts of the city, Hickory finally stops in front of a dusty shop with clouded windows. I would have figured it was abandoned, if not for the loud snoring coming from inside.
Sketchy place number 2?
Aaron asks. Hickory ignores him, leading us inside. Nice. I shake my head at Aaron.
Oh, come on.
He laughs.
He makes it way too easy.
As we enter, the room is small, with only an elderly kobold hunched over a large wooden desk. A strange device is strapped around his balding head, and his sleeping face is pressed into a smattering of scrolls. Hickory slides a piece of parchment across the desk. The kobold startles, practically falling out of his seat. A dozen or so lenses on his head device bounce on wired hinges with the movement. Seeing Hickory, he straightens.
Sir Hickory! So glad to see my favorite customer is back,
he says, beaming.
What can I help you with today?
Based on the condition of this place, I assume Hickory is his only customer.
Just this, Beckett,
Hickory says warmly, pointing to the parchment he put on the desk.
Of course.
The kobold shifts one of the lenses down, magnifying his left eye 3 sizes as he peers at the paper.
Ah, yes, this way.
Stepping away from his desk, he ushers us around to a series of doors. Rotating a large circular gear on one of them with a lot of grunting, he opens it wide, revealing a stairway.
Thank you, Beckett.
Hickory pats his shoulder.
Anything for you, sir.
He bows. We follow Hickory down the stairs until they lead to a landing where a passageway opens into yet another tunnel. This tunnel is unlike any I've ever seen. Instead of stretching out in front of us, it runs vertically from floor to ceiling. Shelves upon shelves of books line the rounded walls of the large room, while the tunnel stretches on for miles above us like a never-ending tower. Aaron walks forward, then stops short, shooting out his arms as Alice and I nearly crash into him.
Have your wings out and ready in this place,
he warns, releasing his fin wings with a swoosh. Alice and I look down. The floor only stretches out halfway through the room. Below, the tunnel of shelves continues into the dark abyss. Devouring the shelves with her eyes, Vale smiles wider than I've ever seen. Hickory catches her expression and his good eye lights up. After noticing my smirk, however, he quickly looks back at the shelves.
Though the sylphs loved their books,
Hickory explains,
the Sky City would never be able to contain them all. Held up by only the vine and pixie dust, Eldor has a very delicate balance. Too much weight could bring the whole city crumbling down.
Hickory motions to the tunnel.
Thus, the kobolds were commissioned to build massive libraries down here to store the extra volumes.
Hickory. Vale lets out an odd breath. I knew these places existed, but I never imagined they'd be this expensive. Her eyes are glassy as she looks from the books to Hickory. I honestly might never want to leave. She looks at him, all smiles, and I can tell Hickory is struggling not to blush.
Yes, well,
He clears his throat.
I convinced my parents to give us access to the libraries to better prepare ourselves for the trial. As you saw, I don't know if we can fully be ready. The labyrinth isn't designed to test our brain power as much as what we can do with it. Our creativity, wit, and problem-solving skills.
Hickory lowers his voice to a whisper.
But I figured with all that's here, there must be more literature about the Pneuma or the prophecy somewhere.
Ingenious! Vale exclaims. Releasing her wings, she flutters up a few stories and lands on one of the ledges. Hickory smiles.
Why build stairs when you can fly from shelf to shelf, right? Kobolds aren't just eccentric. We're smart, too.
I guess we can start here. Alice signs with a shrug. Looking a little overwhelmed at the vast amount of books, she moves to some shelves closest to us. How much time do we have? Good question, I say, before asking Hickory.
Barely anyone comes down here unless sent for a specific volume, he says. So we probably have a few hours until we're expected for dinner.
Great! Vale squeals as she flies back down to us, grabbing Aaron by the arm. Aaron and I will take the top shelves. Come on, you won't believe what I found. He glances at me as if I'll give him an excuse to refuse her. I avoid his stare. Stay focused, I command myself. Don't encourage him. I'm grateful for his help with Moonface yesterday, but being around him will only make things harder. Still, I deflate as he allows Vale to pull him along, flying up as high as they can go. Don't wait for us, Vale calls back. Hickory sighs, looking longingly after her, then puts a hand on my shoulder.
I'll help Alice look through the shelves here. If I were you, though, I might start about 3 stories down.
He points to a cobweb-covered section below. Pushing Aaron out of my mind, I fly to the shelf Hickory indicated and land on the ledge in front of it, wiping away the cobwebs to reveal a silver-plated label above the books. It's engraved with this simple inscription: The Mystics. Chapter 6.
I'm surprised you're still here.
Hickory and Alice smile down at me as I sit on the dusty ledge, surrounded by a scattering of books and old maps.
You even beat Vale.
I huff. She and Aaron fluttered out of the tunnel a short bit ago for dinner. Aaron stopped to ask if I wanted to join them, but I declined. Stubborn as the day is long, I'm afraid. I pore over the ragged piece of parchment in my hand again, the words starting to blur together. Too bad I don't have Vale's nodding potion to help this time, I mutter to myself.
Vale's what?
Hickory asks. Nothing, I say quickly. What are you studying? Alice signs before she picks up one of the texts and flips through a few of its delicate pages. I translate her words for Hickory before responding. Just trying to learn more about the mystics. Hickory thought studying them might help us decode more of their prophecy.
Speaking of,
Hickory turns to Alice.
Could I perhaps get a look at your tattoo again?
Putting down the book in her hand, she removes her glove and rolls up her sleeve, offering her arm to him. His fingers hover just above her skin, tracing the symbol's curves in the air.
Where did you get this again?
He asks. Alice faces me and starts to answer in a slew of signs. Whoa, hold on. I stand to meet her. I'm a beginner, remember? What was the first thing again? Shaking her head, Alice pulls off her other glove. What are you doing? I don't like the look in her eyes. Before I can stop her, she grabs both Hickory's and my arms with her bare hands. Is this better? Alice speaks into my mind, her energy coursing through me. Hickory must hear her too, because he goes rigid and nearly topples over.
What in Phelan?
A different voice echoes in my head. It sounds like Hickory, but his parted mouth hasn't moved. Shock and elation dance in his eyes. Could I be hearing his thoughts too? Hickory's eyes dart to me, growing bigger. Quinn? Wait, did you just hear me thinking? I try to send the thought to him. He nods and I whip around to Alice. Did you know you could connect other Fae with each other? Alice shrugs.
Hold on, you already knew Alice could do this?
Hickory's gaze is still trained on me. Will both of you quiet your minds for 1 minute? Alice barks, her eyes pinched shut as if our inner voices are giving her a headache. No, I've never done this before, and I definitely didn't know I'd be connecting you to each other. Happy accidents all around, I guess. Opening her eyes, she raises a brow at Hickory. Now, do you want to know about this tattoo or not?
Yes, please.
Hickory nods emphatically, mouth pursed. We do our best to keep our thoughts clear as Alice catches Hickory up on the basics of what she's told me. From her ability to heal and her failed attempt at saving her sister, to how new tattoos have literally grown out of the pneumanic symbol on her arm every time she uses her gift.
It's something I was born with, but that's all I know.
Alice finishes as she lets go, lowering her body to the ground, looking tired.
Incredible,
Hickory says with a sigh as he sits as well. I follow suit. Incredible, yes, I say. It doesn't exactly help us learn more about the Pneuma or the Mystics, though, and not much of what I've been reading is new information to me.
What do you know so far?
Alice signs. I motion to the material littered around us. Concerning the Pneuma, just that the Mystics studied them religiously, that they authored the prophecy we've been decoding and wrote everything else in the tome we already found. I motion to another pile of books. Besides that, they were Gwyllian magic users. They were convinced that all Gwyllians could do what they did because they believed we were descendants of dragons. I still think that's ridiculous, but if all Gwyllians really do have the potential for fire-wielding, maybe that's why I can produce it. Though I'm not sure why I'm the only freak who can.
Unless you are a mystic.
Hickory smiles, still hopeful. I sigh. Not possible. My father is a descendant of the royal Gwyllian line. No mystics there.
And your mother?
Alice asks. I put a hand on my boot where I've hidden the daggers my mother had commissioned. There's no way I'm walking around Tartarus unarmed with Moonface around. Though the pneumanic symbols on their hilts were my original clue to all this, I still don't like talking about them. Or my mother. She died when Gaius and I were very young. She was a Gwyllian commoner, though. Grew up the daughter of a local welder. Except for the fact that my father chose her as his bride, there was nothing particularly special or unusual about her. Hickory considers the literature on the floor again.
Does anything say how the mystics call forth and manipulate fire?
As far as I can tell, I should be able to just open my hand and have fire appear on command. I stretch out my palm and focus, straining as I wish it to come forward. Nothing. I throw up my hands. I've been in this dreary tunnel with every ancient Gwyllian text under the moons, and still nothing.
Maybe something's blocking you?
Hickory suggests. I don't know anymore. My body sags under the weight of all my unanswered questions. Even more than learning about the prophecy, part of me had started to hope I would read about some special flick of the wrist or magic words I could use to keep my fire in check, to control it. If I can figure out how it manifests, then maybe I can make sure its flames never spontaneously surface again. No more singeing pain, no more inflicting agony on others. I should have known it wouldn't be that easy. I give up. I throw up my hands and start tossing materials onto a pile so I can put it all back and return to my room.
You can't give up now,
Hickory says with pleading eyes.
Magic isn't as hard as you think.
Easy for you to say. I shake my head. You've probably been teaching paints to obey your every command since you were a sprite.
Actually, most kobold sprouts figure out how to do that one pretty easily,
he says with a shrug. That makes me feel heaps better, thanks. I sigh.
Maybe we can help.
Alice nods in agreement, moving to the shelves behind me, clearing away more of the cobwebs. Hickory picks up a scroll.
Have you looked at this one yet?
I shake my head. They're just going to waste time uncovering what I've already found. A dead end. Both of them mean well, but Hickory isn't going to quit. I know that he really wants me to embrace whatever mystical gift he thinks I have, but his persistence is starting to grate on me. What if I can never do what he wants? It's too much pressure. I grew up with enough of that from my father, and I'm not going to bend to it again. If there's anything left to find, I'll figure it out myself, in my time, in my way. You want to help? Just go and let me focus, all right? I snatch the scroll from Hickory and unroll it on the ground. Though I'm more angry at myself than anything, I just want to be left alone.
Whoa, touchy much?
Hickory frowns, and Alice slowly puts down the book in her hand.
Just one last tip. You're looking at that one upside down.
I know that, I mutter. I flip it over and pretend to read, waiting for them to leave. They don't. In fact, Hickory yanks the scroll from under my nose, staring at it in amazement. Hey! I grab for it. He eludes me, not taking his eyes off the page. Where did you find this one? He asks urgently. I don't know. Why? My teeth clench, and I curl my fingers into fists. My nails prick painfully at my palms. I vow to give him one more chance before my daggers come out. Hickory sniffs once, then twice. He glances up at me. Quinn, what? I snap. Alice, wide-eyed, points at my hand. I follow their stares to where orange and red flames lick between my fingers. I uncurl them to reveal a ball of fire swirling in my palm. Ugh, see? I shake my hand in the air, trying to make it go away. I can't control it, especially when I'm angry. Watch it! You could set the whole tunnel on fire! Hickory shouts as both of them raise hands of caution. Wait, the flames come when you're angry? No other time? Holding my hand steadier, I wince at the burn, as I try to remember a time the fire reared its ugly head without anger. Aaron. At the thought of him, my cheeks burn and the fire roars bigger. I yelp as Hickory and Alice draw back. The heat courses through my body, helplessness washing over me. Any kind of strong emotion, I guess. I grit out, just wanting it to stop. In all my years as a pirate, I never used to struggle with keeping the fire at bay. I've always been able to keep my emotions in check. What's happening to me? I'm stronger than this. Remembering what I used to do at sea, I close my eyes and take a few deep breaths. Slowly, the fire begins to recede. A groan of relief and frustration escapes my lips. Just another reason to hate them, I grumble. Hate what? Emotions? Hickory watches the fire become a tiny flame before it flickers out, evaporating into thin air. Alice grabs my hand, looking for burns, ready to heal. There's no sign of the flames, just the lingering memory of pain. She looks up curiously. Your hand doesn't even feel hot. I shrug. The flames don't permanently hurt me, just everyone else. I can hear my father in my head and believe his warnings against emotions now more than ever. All my feelings ever do is cause problems. So you try to avoid them, Hickory concludes. Or stuff them down? Pretty much. That might be your problem right there, he says. If your fire comes out by way of your emotions, maybe mastering them is the key to controlling your ability. That's what I've been trying to do. I shake my head. It doesn't work. No. Alice squeezes my fingers before grabbing Hickory's arm so we both can hear her. I think Hickory is saying, you need to learn to let go. Hickory nods, still wide-eyed at Alice's ability. Let go of what? I have no idea what she's talking about. She smiles. If I blocked all the pain and emotion I feel while healing someone, I'd never be able to help them. If your gift is anything like mine, maybe you need to let yourself feel. Let myself feel? Has she been talking to Aaron lately? Alice continues. You need to learn to deal with what's inside, or that fire will always be a volcano just waiting to erupt when you least expect or want it to. She looks at me more intently. If you let me, I think I can help you with that. No. The voice inside my head shouts as I nearly jerk away from her. I don't need to listen to this. I don't need help. I'm stronger than that. I can hold it down so the fire never comes out again. Alice gives my hand a squeeze. I forgot she can hear my thoughts. Strength can take many different forms, my friend. Gaius's words from our last day on the shores of Greymarrow come back to me. Sometimes strength can be weakness, and weakness can be strength. You have a different kind of strength. I know it. Someday, you will too. The tension in my shoulders eases as I play the words over in my mind. Could Gaius have meant what Alice is saying? Could there be a strength in letting others in? A power in letting go of the chokehold I have on what I've always been told is weakness? I guess there's only one way to find out. I take a deep breath. What exactly did you have in mind? Chapter 7. Friend. That's what Alice called me. Is that what we've become? I called Wit a friend once. Trusting her was what got me into this mess. That and my own recklessness. Alice is different, isn't she? And Hickory. I've trusted them this far. Can I trust them a bit further? Part of me wants to. Still, my ideas of how to deal with my feelings and Alice's ideas are very different. You want to do what? I ask again. She still holds on to me and Hickory. I told you before, when I heal someone, I can see into their memories, especially the painful ones. I've never used it like this, especially with a fellow fairy. But if I can see your memories again, maybe I can experience them with you, help you process through them. Maybe even help heal them. Incredible. Hickory stares in awe. Hickory. Sorry. His head drops. Alice directs her next thoughts to him. I have no idea what this is going to be like with just me and Quinn, let alone if I took you along too. I want you to stay nearby and keep watch. Make sure no one comes. And if anything concerning happens, break our connection by removing my hands. Okay? Hickory reluctantly nods, obviously disappointed he'll be left out. But this is not a game. These are my memories, my pain. I'd do anything to switch places with him right now. In fact, it's taking everything I have not to call the whole thing off and fly out of here. Alice takes my hands firmly in hers. As the tingling of her healing energy increases, her tattoos start to glow and my body trembles. Relax, she says, though her words waver with a bit of nervousness herself. You don't have any physical wounds, so I think I'll have to do some searching to access your memories. Just close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Picturing Alice's energy swimming around my subconscious doesn't exactly help me relax. I try to concentrate on the last part of her instructions. Close your eyes and breathe. Those are two things I can do, right? As I try, my shaking slowly subsides. Then I jolt. Memories flash before my eyes, but in reverse. Alice revealing her gift to Hickory, me catching Moonface in the tunnels with Luna, the train whistle sending a bolt of shock through me, the labyrinth, signing goodbye to Layman, kissing Aaron, his lips pressed against mine, his ocean scent filling my senses, Alice saving me saving Alice, training with Vale, the Queen's watchful eyes. Is Alice seeing all of this too? I thought she was just going to find the painful memories. Is this part only in my mind? Relax, I hear Alice say again. Stay with me, Quinn. I think we're almost there. Almost where? Further back we go. Before the Ethodine, before my time as a pirate, even past the dreaded day I burned Gaius. Past the years of rigorous training and disappointment with my father. How far back are we going? Dizzy with the spin of images, I think I might pass out. Finally, we stop. I'm lying on my back as a Sprout's mobile rotates over me. One that usually hangs over a cradle. A warm face with long, dark curls appears above me. My breath catches. Is she your mother? Alice's words wash over me gently. Yes. Is this real? A memory I've long forgotten? She's beautiful, Alice says. She is. Her sparkling eyes peer down at me, creasing with joy as a gentle smile spreads across her face. The whole world seems to stand still. Even the mobile turns in slow motion. I want to reach out to her, to touch her rosy cheek. I can barely breathe. Another face appears. This one I recognize right away. But for the first time that I've ever seen, he grins. Father. He smiles at my mother first, then at me. He's smiling at me. The corners of his eyes crease with happiness.
My little warrior,
he says softly, a lilt to his voice I've never heard before. I was wrong. This isn't my father. It can't be. I'm so confused. Aren't these supposed to be painful memories? My chest tightens, something pricking at my eyes. A different kind of pain. Both figures move out of view. I wait as the cutouts of metal arrows and dragons dangle from the mobile above. Then I start to cry. The memory self does, at least. Where did my parents go, Alice? I ask, the panic of sproutling me rising. Why are you showing me this memory? I don't know. I'm not the one who led us here, Quinn, she says. You did. What? Why is this memory so important? Then I smell it. Fire. In a matter of moments, the nursery clouds with gray smoke, orange and red flames licking up the sides of the walls. No, no, no! My mother calls my father's name, screaming for help. My heart leaps, my eyes darting for her. My crying turns to shrieks. She appears over me again, holding little Gaius. She reaches out. I cough through the smoke as she holds me close. I'm short of breath, the fire growing around us as my vision blurs. The memory is drifting away. My mother coughs, still calling out for help through the fog. No! I yell. Quinn! Hickory's voice cuts through the blackness as he pulls Alice and me apart. I open my eyes, sucking in fresh air. What happened? Hickory asks hurriedly. When Alice touches my hand again, I flinch. Quinn, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean. She strokes my arm as I reel from the memory. I think... Alice, was it my fault? Could I have possibly... She shakes her head. Don't even think that. We didn't see everything. It's going to be okay, Quinn. We can... I pull away before she can finish, silencing her. I don't want to hear or see any more. This was supposed to help, but yet again I'm only plagued with more questions. I only feel more pain. No more, I say. Both of them stare at me as if I'll fall apart any minute. Maybe I will. I'm done. Releasing my wings, I shoot up to the main landing and back through the corridor as fast as I can. Chapter 8. Landing in front of my room, I swing the door open, ready to lock myself inside. I'm not alone. Thaden is standing at the far end of the room near my bed. What are you? I try to catch my breath as I close the door behind me.
Quintessa,
He bellows, his smile from my memory replaced by his usual scowl.
where in Phelan have you been? I've been looking.
He narrows his eyes at my face.
What's wrong with you? What happened?
His tone lowers, yet still has a bite. I put my hand to my face, wondering what he can see. I can't get the vision of his youthful smile out of my head, the way he'd looked at my sproutling form, the way he looked at my mother. My beautiful mother. The image of her in the flames threatens to drag me to the floor again. Did I cause the fire that killed her? Even if I was an innocent sprout at the time, it would at least start to explain why my father hates magic so much. Why he hates me so much. Yet, if he knew what I could do, what I did do all those years ago, why has he never said anything? Why has he never revealed me to the world, even after I burned Gaius too? Was he protecting me, or protecting himself? I close my eyes. It's all too much to process with him standing in front of me. Nothing. I'm fine, I say. I hope that when I open my eyes, he'll be gone and I won't have to face him. When I don't hear movement, I look up to find him still analyzing me. What do you want? Maybe my indignant tone will get him to go away. Did you come just to yell at me some more? He never properly reprimanded me for failing the trial of life. Why? The image of him sitting by my bed in Vendoria comes back to me. He was waiting for me to wake up. He was holding my hand. It had been him, right? Was it even real or just another poison-induced dream? My father blinks at me before shaking his head.
I just wanted to make sure that you weren't getting into any more trouble. You still have 2 more trials to complete.
Of course. It always comes back to the competition. To power.
Right then.
He moves past me toward the door. Is that all he came to say? Father. The words feel strange in my mouth. I haven't dared call him that to his face since Gaius's funeral, and definitely not with the gentle tone I just used. He never liked the term, and frankly, I decided a long time ago that he didn't deserve to be called it. After what I did to my mother, his wife, maybe I don't deserve to be called his daughter either. He glances back, the same way he did the night of my poisoning. He waits. I have to know. After the trial of life, I say slowly, did you visit me? In my room? He stares, unblinking, like a stone statue.
Yes.
Why? I ask, afraid of the answer. His jaw shifts.
They said you were recovering, but I needed to see you for myself.
My eyes drop. He probably wanted to make sure his investment was safe, that he still had a piece in the game. Is that really all I am to him?
When I saw your brother's body.
At his words, my eyes shoot back up. He stares at the wall.
I couldn't believe it until I saw him for myself. The plague had ravaged him, but it was him.
I imagine my father hovering over Gaius's pale, disease-ridden body. I wonder if he shed a tear over the loss of his son. Though my father's frame remains rigid and cold, the slightest wavering taints his voice.
I needed to see you for myself,
he repeats. I swallow, though my mouth is dry. I nod, though I don't understand. Gaius wasn't just a pawn to him. Phaedon was hard on both of us, but he always favored Gaius, maybe even loved him in his own way. In this moment, my father speaks of us as if my brother and I hold the same value in his eyes, that we're equals. I lower my gaze, not knowing what to say. He steps to the door again, then stops once more.
Stay alive, Quintessa,
he says with a firm but quiet voice.
I won't bury another.
Then he leaves, slamming the door behind him. I don't see my father for the rest of the week. Not that I'm in a hurry to see him again. Strangely, his last words are what keep me going. Stay alive. I won't bury another. Whenever possible, I keep to myself, mostly in my room. We all promise to keep figuring out the prophecy, but there'll be no use in any of it if we die in the next trial. I need to focus. You've been quiet lately, Vale says through panting breaths as our training session comes to a close. Not that I'm complaining. I shrug, keeping my back to her as I wipe away sweat with my sleeve and pack up my things. I've purposefully kept our sessions focused and to the point. I don't feel like talking or bickering or whatever it is we do. I haven't even pestered her about how the poison testing is going. Here. She's next to me, holding out a small leather-bound book. It's a book of Kobold riddles. I found it when we were in the library, and I thought it may be helpful in decoding the prophecy. Maybe even helpful for the upcoming trial. She places it on top of my bag. I've already memorized it, so I figured I'd pass it on. Her voice isn't laced with her usual condescension. Her face is devoid of any snark or mischief. I nod, taking the book in my hand. You did good today, I say. And I mean it. Her eyes crease with her smile. Thanks, she starts, but I've already turned, heading out of the cavern. Walking back through the city toward the castle, I spot Alice heading down the same street in my direction. I dart behind a building and wait until she passes. I've been avoiding her, too. Though I know she didn't mean to hurt me, I can barely look at her right now. Her face is a constant reminder of the painful memories she awakened. Now I'm not only haunted by Gaius while asleep, I'm also plagued by the memory of my mother's screams while awake. Retreating back to the safety of my room, I light a fire in the small stove and crawl into bed under a patchwork blanket, cracking open the Kobold Book of Riddles. It isn't long until a knock sounds at my door. I freeze. Hickory has come by multiple times, even going so far as to slip his latest theories, scribbled on parchment, under my door. I'm not ready to talk to him either. Maybe if I just stay really quiet, he'll think I'm out. Another knock. Persistent Puck. "Go away, Hickory," I warn from my bed.
"It's not Hickory,"
says the voice. My pulse quickens. It's Aaron.
"Can I come in?"
"No," I say, my voice much too shrill as I leap to my feet. I cough. "I mean, I'm not feeling well. Don't want to get you sick." I inch toward the door on quiet feet.
"Is that why you've been cooped up in your room so much?"
Concern rises in his voice. Considering the last time he saw me sick I was poisoned, I guess I can't blame him.
"Maybe someone should check on you."
I see the gears in the door start to shift. I curse, realizing I must have forgotten to lock it earlier. Quickly, I grab a fire poker in front of the stove and jam it into the gears. The mechanism halts, and I let out a breath. "I'm fine, really." There's a pause before he speaks again.
"Quinn."
A shudder runs through me at the sound of my name on his lips. The nymph-like way he softens the usually harsh cue, like a whisper.
"I'm worried about you,"
he says softly.
"Please don't shut me out."
I picture him on the other side, and I press my fingers to the door, yearning to open it, to tell him what I saw about my mother, what I now fear, to let him hold me like I can hear in his voice that he wants to. But even his touch can't take this pain away. Not this time. "I'm sorry," is what I mean to say. The words won't come. Instead, I wait, holding my breath, a lump settling in my throat. I hold it there in the quiet until I hear his footsteps shift and patter away. I swallow hard, chest thumping, resisting the urge to run after him. It's for the best. Right. Keep telling yourself that. I move to return to my bed when a folded piece of parchment slips under my door. "Hickory," I groan. "Enough of this." I pick up the paper, ready to open the door and thrust it back out. Instead of Hickory's hurried scrawling or line sketches, it's an architect's scaled drawing of a ship. A stunning, masterful ship that makes the minnow pale in comparison. It looks exactly like one of the flying ships I coveted in Eldor. Only a few words are written below the drawing in an all-too-familiar swirling penmanship. "2 more to go, and she's yours." The Queen. I crumple the paper in my hand, as if there might be someone in the shadows of my room who can see it, and rush back to my bed. Slowly unwrapping the message, I press out the creases, gazing at the beauty before me. The Queen must be pleased with Vale's progress. Provided that I follow through, it looks like she still plans on delivering my reward after all. A ship. My freedom. Even if she was the one who poisoned me before, perhaps all has been forgiven. Perhaps. This time I fold the paper up carefully into a tight little square and hold it close. Just a little longer, and I can escape this living nightmare. Chapter 9. On the day of our trial, the stadium booms with voices, and the air is hot with the press of bodies. As I'm guided down steep clay steps through the crowd, I pass the visiting clansfolk who, as usual, are sequestered in their separate sections, eyeing one another with disdain. My fellow competitors are already gathered at the labyrinth's base when I reach the bottom. Part of me regrets pulling away this past week. This could be the last time that I see any of them. Yet the other part of me is grateful. It'll make any deaths that occur that much easier to handle. Right? As each of them disappear around the curve of the maze to their designated entrances, I look back to the crowd. The Queen's eyes pass over me briefly with a nod. She knows I received her message. Next to her, my father stares hard and intent, as if reminding me again.
"Stay alive, Quintessa."
I nod. I plan to.
"Without creativity and resourcefulness," Nothing else matters,
Lord Zephyr says bluntly through his horn. This snaps all the clans to attention, an unmistakable cutting blow to the other ethos.
Knowledge, beauty, life, and strength are useless if you can't see how to use them to your advantage,
He continues.
The ultimate leader must know how to take whatever is at their disposal and use it for any challenge placed before them. For our trial of creativity, you will display your ability to do so in the labyrinth.
The maze comes alive as the cranking and screeching of machinery bellows from inside like a hungry animal. The crowd cheers, but I wince. The sound grates against my already shattered nerves.
The dangers of the labyrinth are never the same twice, and they are not always what they appear. So you must be alert. Along the way, you will face 3 doors. You must use your creativity and resourcefulness to open them. Do not rejoice too quickly, however, as each new section of the maze presents new dangers. Survive these trials and you will reach the center tower, where your final challenge will reside.
I look at the stone structure in the middle of the maze. This is where some of the criminal competitors never materialized. If they did, they emerged at the top, bloody and screaming. Seeing Luna with her bloody leg in my mind, I turn away from the maze, my heart thudding. I can't do this. I have to get out of here. 5 smug kobolds stalk toward me, holding pickaxes over their shoulders, ready to attack if I try to escape. Lord Zephyr continues.
Overcome the obstacles, reach the top of the tower, and you will have completed the labyrinth. The order in which you finish will determine your ranking.
Bringing his arm down, a boom sounds as an explosion of glittering pixie dust shoots into the air. The crowd bursts into applause. Lord Zephyr's voice roars.
Begin!
As I step between the looming stone walls of the labyrinth entrance, a hazy mist covers my feet, blanketing the floor. The stretch of maze before me is a bleak gray. A damp chill runs down my neck as I step in deeper. The sound of cheers muffles until all that's left is my ragged breathing. The maze grows deathly quiet. I look up. Some magical sound barrier must reside over the labyrinth. I almost would have preferred to hear the crowds. Just as Lord Zephyr warned, I stay alert. Following the twists and turns, I come to the first door. It's made of thick wooden logs, with a dragon-headed gargoyle perched above it. I look around. All that I can see through the mist is a pile of junk. Among the items are a short plank of wood, a cylindrical steel rod, a hammer, and spare leather straps like those of a belt. I pick up the plank of wood and turn it over in my hand. How am I supposed to use any of this to open a door? Rock shifts above me, and I jump back. The gargoyle is moving. And if that isn't shocking enough, it speaks.
I cannot talk,
It begins ironically.
but I'll always reply when spoken to. Who am I?
A riddle. It sounds similar to the ones in the Kobold book that Vale lent me. Could answering it be the way through the door? I snort. It can't be that easy. And if so, what are these for? I look back to the plank in my hand and the other items on the ground. I repeat the riddle to myself. I cannot talk, but I'll always reply when spoken to. Immediately, I think of Alice. She can reply to me without literally speaking. Could that be it? Someone who's mute? I say to the gargoyle. Even if it's wrong, what's the worst that can happen? The ground rumbles as cranks shift in the walls and something shoots toward me. An arrow whizzes by my face, skimming my cheek. I touch my stinging skin, a thin line of blood smeared across it. That was close. Whoosh! Another arrow flies from the opposite direction. I whip the plank in front of me just in time. The arrow thunks into the wood. The point just barely breaks through the surface. It had nearly pierced my chest. My heart pounds as I inch closer to one of the walls. 1,000,000 small holes puncture its stone surface. These aren't the only arrows that are coming. I better keep thinking. Fast. And in case I guess wrong again, I'll need better protection. As I go back over the riddle, I launch myself at the pile of scraps. I use the sharp back end of the hammer to punch 2 holes into the wood. Though my fingers shake with adrenaline, I slip either end of a leather strap through each hole, tying them off with a tight knot. Securing the makeshift shield to my arm, I grip the steel rod in the other like a sword. Though they're far from Gwyllian weapons, they'll have to suffice. This time I pivot in a circle, keeping my eyes on the walls as I refocus my thoughts to the riddle. Okay, what about a bird, I guess, thinking of the sparrow call I used with my crew. Birds don't exactly talk, but they can respond in their own way. Another arrow shoots toward me. Lifting the rod, I spin it in my fingers like the spokes of a wheel. The arrow zings off the metal. Ping! Another arrow comes from the other wall at the same angle. Ping! Wrong again. I shake my head. Suddenly, Lord Zephin's warning comes back to me. Things are not always what they seem. I shouldn't think too literally. I have to get creative. I have to think like a kobold. Before I can shoot out another guess, 2 more arrows release in succession, faster this time, and I block them with my shield. Thunk, thunk. My ears twitch at the familiar sound. There's a pattern. I can't always anticipate where the first arrow will release from, but based on its angle, I can predict the next. I wipe sweat from my brow before it can drip into my eyes. I don't have long to rest. The arrows come quicker. It's like a dance as I move to evade each one. Though I'm surviving, I can't keep this up forever. I need to solve the riddle and get out of here. I can barely concentrate. Like a mirroring effect, the arrow keeps coming, one side and then the other, like a call and response, echoing one another. My mind locks back on the riddle. I cannot talk, but I will always reply when spoken to. Wait, what if the danger itself is a clue to the riddle? You are Echo! I yell. The wooden door creaks open. Yes! The movement distracts me, and an arrow releases, driving itself into my thigh. I yelp at the shooting pain, dashing through the door, slamming it closed. Safely on the other side, I cast my shield and rod aside and yank out the arrow with a hiss. Biting the inside of my cheek, I tear off the hem of my pant leg and wrap it tight. As I stand on my good leg, I grab my shield and rod again. They might still be helpful with the other dangers in the maze. Releasing my wings, I fly across the next stretch of maze, making sure not to rise above the walls and risk looking like I'm trying to escape. Blood is quickly soaking the cloth, dripping down my leg. At least I haven't lost my leg completely. I have to keep going. After a few more turns, I see the second door. Landing gingerly before it, my stomach churns with a mix of relief and apprehension. This one is metal, with another gargoyle stationed above it.
You hold me without using your hands or arms. Who am I?
It says. What in Phelan can I hold without my hands or arms? Something metaphorical, perhaps? Gears grind again, but this time it's accompanied by the sound of rushing water. What now? The sound grows louder behind me, and I turn. A wave of water whips around the maze, charging my way, preparing to engulf me. Blast! I drop my makeshift weapons, grab the door's handle, and yank hard. The wave collides with my body and thrusts me forward. My head hits the metal slab, and the water pulls me under. The waves force me deeper as my head throbs, and I'm brought back to the memory of drowning at sea. Only this time, Aaron isn't here to save me. Aaron. His words from last night come back to me.
Please don't shut me out.
I think of him and the others. I shut them all out. Maybe I should have opened the door. I should have at least said goodbye. I picture them all struggling to endure their own challenges. If we were all together now, maybe we could have helped each other survive this, just like we did in the woodlands. It's then that I realize I don't want this to be the end. I want to see them again. All of them. To apologize. This time, I have something to live for. I have to survive. Above me, I glimpse something floating on the surface. My wooden shield. Though my injured leg stings with pain, I use my good leg to kick toward it. I grab on and break through to the open air, coughing up water. "Do something!" I call out to the gargoyle. It only repeats the riddle.
"You hold me without using your hands or arms. Who am I?"
Another wave crashes over me. I clutch tightly to the shield before I'm pulled under. Then the answer hits me. I'm holding my breath. Breaking the surface again, I yell, "You are breath!" The door swings open and water rushes through, pulling me with it before it recedes into grated holes in the floor. Coughing, tired, and soaked to the bone, I touch my forehead. Blood trickles down my face. I wipe it away. "You're fine. Practically halfway there. Keep going." My wings are too waterlogged to fly, so I brace against the maze walls to stabilize my woozy head and stagger around the next bend. Breaking through the mist, I finally reach the third door. As I watch for any hint of danger, this door's gargoyle speaks with such a soft voice, I barely hear it. "What did you say?" I ask, wringing water from my still dripping sleeves. "Speak louder." The gargoyle raises its tone just a hair. "I'm so fragile, just saying my name can break me. Who am I?" It even cowers in fear as it speaks the words. I rake my hands through my damp, tangled curls, frustration building. "These riddles are so bloody irritating." The gargoyle's eyes grow wide, shaking its head in warning. "Don't you shake your head at me," I yell. "If you just give me some kind of hint." Again, the clashing of metal and grinding of gears sounds. A large panel in the floor far behind me is rising. Is the maze giving me a secret passageway out? I should know by now. I'm never that lucky. A low mechanical growl comes from the pit as two large glowing eyes appear in the dark. I draw back as the figure marches out into the light on two steel legs. Standing 3 times as tall as I am, the iron giant gnashes its sharp metal teeth. Except for the smoke billowing out of the pipes on its shoulders, it looks exactly like the giants in Eldor's murals. The kobolds have constructed a mechanical pneuma. It takes everything I have not to scream as the giant stumbles toward me, the ground shaking with each of its steps. Thankfully, the beast's movements are slow. Eluding it, I dart between its legs as its monstrous hands try to grab me. If I can just get through the door. The giant is too big to follow me through. Think, Quinn, think! With my shield and rod left behind at the last door, I have nothing left to aid me. I look at my cursed hands. Even if I wanted to use my fire, I'm too wet from the earlier flood to summon even a spark. Before the iron pneuma can turn toward me, I notice something sticking out of its back, and an idea takes hold. Sprinting forward, I leap into the air and grab onto the nuts and bolts of its armor. Finding the loose screw I glimpsed, I clamp my fingers around it and twist furiously until it comes free. The giant growls, trying to reach for me, smoke pumping out of its pipes in a rage. Climbing to its shoulders, I reach around and thrust the sharp end of the screw into one of its eyes. Metal crunches. I go for the other eye, but the giant's hand seizes my waist with its metal fingers. The force nearly squeezes all of the air out of me. I hear and feel a terrible crunch. I cry out in pain and conviction. I'm not finished yet. With one hand still free, I lodge the screw into its other eye, and the beast lets go of me, throwing its hands over its face. I hit the ground hard, pain radiating through my ribs and across my back and chest. As the giant reels, I slowly force my body to stand and creep toward the gargoyle. I'm so fragile, just saying my name can break me. I repeat the riddle. The pneuma's head turns, searching for the source of the sound. It might be blind, but its hearing is perfectly intact. Hearing. I look at the gargoyle as the answer comes to me. You are silence! That definitely gets the giant's attention. It sprints in the direction of my voice as the door opens. I leap through. Thankfully, it closes behind me and the giant collides against the other side. I take a moment to breathe. That was the third door. I just need to get to the tower, and all of this will be over. The wall shudders. Pebbles trickle down as banging comes from the other side. The giant is trying to break through. Pushing through the pain, I scramble further into the maze. Maneuvering through more twists and turns, I finally spot it ahead of me. The tower. The tower also has a door. This one is covered in small stones, secured by 3 locks. Of course. "Open the door!" I command the gargoyle above it, fearing the iron pneuma will break free at any moment. This gargoyle has 3 heads.
"To open this door, you must touch the 3 correct stones."
The first head speaks slowly, in no hurry at all. My eyes rake over the door, each stone marked with its own distinct icon. "How do I know which one to press?" I ask frantically as the giant's growl rumbles through the maze.
"The answer lies in these 3 riddles,"
says the same head.
"The first, we've been around since the beginning of time, but we are never more than a month old."
My eyes ricochet back and forth over the stones. Once I get out of here, I never want to hear another riddle again. No time to think about that now. Focus. What could be so old and yet so young? Raking my eyes over the stones, I spot one with a collection of round white circles. They almost look like the moons? The moons are only full once a month and then start all over again. That makes sense, right? I don't have time to hesitate. I press it, and the first lock unlatches. Thank Phelan. "Next," I command, feeling encouraged.
"The more of me there is, the less you see,"
says the second head. I close my eyes, trying to clear my mind. Unable to see anything else, the answer hits me square in the face. Darkness! I comb over the stones, spotting one that's completely black. Pressing it, the second lock unhinges with a satisfying snap. The third head doesn't hesitate.
"Feed me, and I will live, but give me a drink, and I will die."
That doesn't make any sense. All living things need to drink. But like each of the riddles so far, not all things are as they appear. Water drips from my clothes, and my whole body aches as my eye stops at an icon of a flame. I look at my useless wet hands. Of course, you can feed it with wood and kill it with water. "Fire," I whisper. The roar of the giant sounds again. Behind me, it barrels down the stretch of maze, stumbling in its blindness. Pressing the firestone with all my might, the last bolt unlocks. The door shifts open and I shoot through, slamming it closed behind me just before the iron beast reaches the threshold. It locks itself, keeping the giant out, but also keeping me in. I let out a shuddering breath. The room I'm in now is long and dimly lit by a series of candles. At the back stairway, a shadowed figure appears, barely visible in the flickering light, wings stretched out. Another gargoyle with a final riddle? Or perhaps one of the other competitors?
"Hello, pirate,"
says the shadow. I couldn't have been more wrong. Chapter 10. It's as if all the air has been sucked out of the room. Though the voice of the shadowed figure is garbled and distorted, I know who it is even before he steps into the candlelight. It illuminates his crescent-shaped scar. You! I hesitate. It's Moonface, all right, but he's taller, stronger, disfigured. Fangs hang over his snarling lips, and his arms droop, elongated at his sides. Claws extend from his fingers, scraping along the ground as he stalks toward me. His skin is darker, charred-looking, and flakes of it flutter to the ground as he moves. His sylph wings are stripped of feathers so only a leathery surface remains. They flap, creating a gust that threatens to extinguish the flickering candles around us. Somehow, Moonface has become a goblin. What happened to you? I blink through the darkness, not believing my eyes.
"I've gone through a bit of an enhancement, an evolution, if you will."
Jasper motions to his new form with his ridiculously muscled arms. I remember him sweating in the tunnels, the discoloring of his skin. his incredible strength with the Kobold conductor. Had he been transitioning to this? How? I back up against the locked door. No way out.
It's complicated.
He takes another step toward me.
But if you know the right folk, you can get what you want.
The right folk? Does he mean the goblins? Or maybe whoever he's collecting the fairies and pixie dust for? As he draws closer, I fear the answer to another question more. What exactly do you want? I stand straighter as my eyes dart around for an escape route, a weapon, anything. Moonface lets out a guttural laugh, only a few feet away now.
Why, you, of course.
He reaches out and takes hold of my throat, raising me off the ground, just as he did to the Kobold conductor. I gasp for air, grabbing at his hands. They're too strong. No, please, not like this.
You've been the bane of my existence for far too long, pirate. Terrorizing my crew, humiliating me, giving me this scar. And now you think you can snoop around in my personal affairs and get away with it? I don't think so. They've been watching. They know you've seen too much, and I was all too pleased to volunteer to finish you off.
They? They who? I want to ask, but he squeezes harder. Spots dot my vision. I kick with all my might. Nothing phases him. Moonface only laughs.
Ah, so much like your brother. He too put up a good fight.
My eyes grow wide. Gaius? Did Moonface have something to do with his death? He leans in closer.
Now it's your turn. Then I'll be going after your friends.
No. Even as I'm losing consciousness, something inside me snaps. Deep in my gut, a flame sparks to life. He can do whatever he wants to me, but I can't let him hurt the others. Before I know it, Moonface's threats stoke a fire so savage I can't contain it, and I don't want to. It explodes, shooting through my body. It races through my blood like a fever, burning away every lick of water left on my skin and clothes until my palms begin to smolder. Even the candles around us seem to blaze brighter. I've been afraid of this puck for far too long. But now I'm angry. My hands are set ablaze with fire, and I push through the blinding pain as I grab Moonface's wrists. He shrieks as he pulls away. Released from his clutches, I crumple to the floor, gasping for air. His arms flail as he tries to shake the fire away. He isn't getting away that easily. I need to make sure he never threatens me or anyone else ever again. With still burning hands, I lunge forward. As I do, flames from the candles shoot into my hands. They stoke my fire into an inferno. I don't know how this is happening, but I don't have time to care. With terror flaring in his eyes, Moonface tries to back away, but I swipe at him again and again as the flames crawl over his skin. His terrible cries pierce my ears until I finally collapse. Fire spreads over Moonface's entire body. He's engulfed in flames, just like the goblin in the woodlands. As his screams continue, all I can do is cover my ears and squeeze my eyes shut so I don't have to watch him burn. It feels like an eternity until the room finally falls silent, descending into darkness. Moonface is reduced to a smoldering pile of ash on the stone floor. My breath hitches. The reality of what I've done sinks in. I've killed Jasper. In place of my heat, a violent chill fills the void and courses through my bones. While part of me feels relief, justice even, the other part wants to scream. I curse, pounding my fist against the floor. He'd known more about the goblins, about Gaius's death. They've been watching. They know you've seen too much, he'd said. Now he's gone, and his secret's with him. There's nothing I can do. Every part of my body aches, and blood still streams from my leg and head. I stagger past Moonface's remains toward a single stream of light coming from the stairway. Forcing myself to climb with great difficulty, I finally reach an upper door. I throw it open. The shouts of the crowd hit me like a gust of wind. I made it. I don't care where I rank. I survived. And if I heard Moonface right, though he could have been the answer to so many questions, I might have just avenged my brother's death. Chapter 11.
Quinn!
Aaron rushes toward me with the other three in tow. My legs buckle and I sag slowly to the ground. Aaron skids to his knees, pulling me into his strong arms. I let my head fall to his chest. I don't even care who sees. The others rush in around us, Hickory fumbling as he nurses a heavy limp. He yells out into the arena for help to come, battling with the roar of the stadium as Alice and Vale gawk at the extent of my wounds. Each of them have their own battle scars from the labyrinth as well. Vale stares at me through a swollen eye that's already bruising. Alice holds an arm that looks like it's been yanked out of its socket. At least they're all alive. That's what matters. Though, there's one who didn't survive the labyrinth in the end. I killed him. It's all I can say, over and over. My skin feels coated in ice. I reach out a shaking hand to Aaron's chest. My fingers find skin. Holes rimmed in black are torn through his shirt, revealing singed muscle. The faint smell of smoke reaches my nose. No. I flinch back. The thought that I could have burned him too rips through me.
Shh, it's okay. It's not as bad as it looks.
Aaron assures me as I stare at the burns, telling myself they had to have come from the maze. He pulls me closer.
Quinn, you're shivering.
Aaron rubs at my arms, but it's not helping. It's as if there's always been a dull heat inside me, simmering beneath my skin, keeping me warm. And now it's gone. I suck in a breath, the air in my lungs winter sharp. Even growing up in the chill of the mountains, I've never felt so cold. So numb. I killed him. I killed Jasper. I say slowly, the reality setting in. Speaking his true name aloud sends tremors down my spine.
What?
Aaron's brows knit. They all look at me as if I've gone insane. Maybe I have. Before I can say more, Kobold medics fly in from above, pulling us apart. The world becomes a blur of blankets and airborne stretchers as we're liberated from the tower and rushed back to the castle. I must have blacked out, because the next thing I know, I'm waking up with a mess of heated compresses and comforters piled on top of me. A strangled grunt of pain sounds from somewhere in the room. My head whips around to take in a small space filled with cots, a few sinks, and a series of medical mechanisms hanging from wheeled devices. I'm in an infirmary. Hickory and Vale sit in their own cots across from me. Hickory's leg is elevated on a pillow and a healing herb patch is over Vale's swollen eye. They're watching as Kobold medics treat Aaron's burns. He winces as they wrap his chest in bandages. Next to me, another medic sets Alice's arm in a sling. As Kobold medics attend to us, we're told our ranking. I came in last again, which means I'm fairly certain I have the lowest amount of points in the Ethidine so far. But that's the furthest concern from my mind. Still reeling from everything that happened in the maze, I sink lower under the blankets. I breathe in deeply, trying to collect my thoughts. By the time the 5 of us are finally left alone to rest, at least I've stopped shivering. I try to fully explain to the others what happened, how Moonface somehow became a goblin, found his way into the labyrinth, and attempted to kill me. Vale's bruised face twists, her expression stricken.
How in Phelan did he become a goblin?
You said he mentioned an evolution of some kind.
Hickory sits up straighter. It's like I can see the gears turning slowly in his head until something clicks.
Does this mean all goblins were once fairies? And someone sent him to kill you?
Aaron paces near his cot, refusing to lie down any longer.
What does all of it mean?
Alice stares at me in stunned silence as the drip of a sink ticks by the seconds. I don't know, I say finally. I pull my blankets closer, running my fingers over the frayed edges. If only I'd controlled myself, I could have tortured him for more information, especially what he meant about Gaius. Maybe I'd been right in thinking Gaius's plague was a poison. Is that what my dream in Vindoria was trying to tell me? He also made it sound like we're being watched, I add hesitantly, picturing Moonface's goblin snarl.
Then I'll be going after your friends.
Another shiver shudders through me as I look around at each of their faces. I won't put them in danger anymore. I think we should lay low for a while. I mean to say it firmly, but it comes out soft and unsure. I try again. We should put this prophecy stuff aside, at least until the Ethodyne is over.
No way.
Hickory throws off his blanket and shifts his injured leg over the edge of his bed.
The moon harvest will practically be on us by then.
We don't even know if this moon harvest is the right one, I say. It could just as well be many harvests away.
I think Quinn is right,
Aaron nods resolutely.
For now, we should just focus on the final trial.
Hickory groans.
But I was finally making a breakthrough. Remember that scroll you found in the library, Quinn? It had some of the same symbols as the tome, which has been helping me decipher it more. It looks like some of the pages might be spells of some kind.
Vale pauses in bringing a cup of water to her lips. What kind of spells? Hickory jumps up on his good leg and grabs a crutch leaning by his cot.
The book is in my room. I'll show you.
He quickly hobbles out of the ward, and we wait. Vale collapses back onto her pillow with an exhausted sigh, adjusting the patch over her eye. I look across the room to Aaron, who's studying me as if he wants to say something. But then Alice joins me on my bed, touching my arm with an ungloved hand.
Did you use your fire? To kill him?
Yes. I pull the comforter to my chest. Something else happened too. I'm so cold. I swallow hard as she stares at me. I think my fire might be gone. Alice's grip tightens. My skin tingles. A low vibration of her healing energy courses through me, just enough to make the tattoos on one of her fingers glow without anyone noticing. But I'm not getting any warmer.
I can usually sense your gift when I touch you, but I don't feel it now.
Alice hurriedly touches different parts of my arm as if that will help, looking more distraught every second. I'm still numb, as if the coals that always smoldered in my gut have been doused and turned to ice.
I do sense one thing,
Alice thinks to me. What's that? I shift uncomfortably under her gaze, a sense of dread creeping in.
Fear.
I look away, not wanting her to see it in my eyes. I am afraid, more than I've ever been. Afraid of the trials, of whoever is after me, of losing anyone else. The fire served its purpose one last time. It protected me. But its power scares me too. I can still smell Moonface's burning flesh. I see Gaius's scars and hear my mother's screams. If it's truly gone forever, maybe it's for the best. At least now, like Moonface, it can never hurt anyone ever again. Hickory rushes in from the hallway, his skin nearly as white as his hair. What's wrong? I ask. His mouth hangs open.
I can't find the tome.
What? Vale sits up, wincing at the quick motion.
What do you mean you can't find it?
Maybe you lost it in that room of yours.
Aaron sighs, not as easily frazzled.
Honestly, it's like a maze all on its own in there.
It's called organized chaos.
Hickory glares at him, gritting his teeth.
And I know exactly where I hid it. It's not there.
Hickory, I say firmly, and he looks at me, our eyes locking. Are you sure? His gaze falls to the ground.
I tore the whole room apart.
He drops onto his cot in a bewildered daze.
The tome is gone.
Thanks so much for listening to Cavern of Terrors, episode 5 of my On Wings of Ashen Dust miniseries. You can listen to the rest of the series through the playlist linked in the description below. Additionally, while this story was first released as a miniseries, all 6 books were later combined to form the full-length novel, also titled On Wings of Ashen Dust, which is available now, and its sequel, On Wings of Crowns and Chaos, is coming April 10th, 2026, with the audiobook currently in production as well. At the time of publishing this video, I'm also hosting a fun book club style read-along for the entire On Wings of Ashen Dust story. If you'd like to join the read-along as you listen to these audiobook videos, simply sign up for email alerts in the description of this video, and I'll send you all the details. Of course, feel free to share any thoughts about Part 5, Cavern of Terrors, in the comments too. I'd love to chat with you, and I hope you thoroughly enjoy the rest of the series linked below.